our culture and our history is like a giant jigsaw puzzle that somebody took and chucked all over the place. And we're putting the pieces back together. Elnu is an Algonquian word, which means people. And that's the way we just figured we looked at ourselves as the people. So we just called ourselves the Elnu Abenaki tribe. The lake event, it's a French and Indian War historical event. For Elnu, it's morphed into more than just a French and Indian War reenactment or tactical. It's becoming a new tradition, and that's how traditions start. You know, somebody starts something somewhere in time, and if people keep doing it, it becomes a tradition. It becomes part of your history and your culture. I'm Roger Longto Sheehan. I'm chief of the Elnu Abenaki. Sedikus, he's out from Western PA, and he's an executive in some sort of paint company. Frog or Mike Plant, he is a computer technician at a college. Blue, he's not Abenaki. He portrays a French liaison. I think he works for Bowen. JT is, he does graphic type arts for a company that makes emblems. MC is retired, but had worked for years as an inspector. Suzanne was working over at the Longhouse at the Oneonta Outdoor Center as a native interpreter. Snapper, he's not Abenaki. He portrays a Frenchman. He's a professor at Oneonta.
Gotta admit, there's nothing better than the coffee off of that fire.
I know we all feel it here, you know, and it is a historical spot, and it really brings you back and gives you time to think that you're walking the same ground that our forefathers had walked, fought, and died on. It was pretty cool. I mean, because I like to think that they would be happy that we're kind of carrying on the old traditions, you know, in kind of a, you know, semi-modern way. You know, we are modern people, but because we're honoring those who've gone before us.
In the past, the people lived outside all the time. You know, we don't today. You know, most native people don't today. They live in some sort of a house, a modern house. That's, again, is part of that puzzle, part of that old traditional culture. Knowing plants that you can eat. But you can, on the rose hips, you got the thorns growing on it, so you know that it's a wild rose. They're not too tasty. A lot of times they're kind of bitter or sour, but that's because of the high vitamin C and stuff that's in them.
Someday this is all going to fall apart, and it won't be so much reenactment because people will get tired. But we're still going to be out here because this is connecting with our ancestors. And the reenactment is just a venue that we're using to, as a mechanism to get out here, live in as much as we can the 18th century way and connect with our ancestors as best possible.
Basically just scouring it down. Don't have soap. The other thing too is soap is lye plus oil, and fireplace ash has lye in it, and oil is already in the grease from the cooking. So that gives you enough soap to break the grease you had. then it really hits you that fall's really here, and we got another winter ahead of us.
And then we start talking about Chinese buffets.
Victor!
It's one of the sacred stops we have to make every year. There used to be a diner.
Oh, well, that's the other thing.
Yes,
There used to be a diner.
Silver dollar diner.
Silver dollar diner.
But
I
if there had been a
missed that.
Chinese buffet there, we
I
would have
understand,
went there.
I understand,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was the silver dollar diner and the burger, boxcar burger.
Yes.
You know, as Native people, we walk in two worlds. You're walking in the 21st century and you're still a Native person, but when you come out here, you become more in touch. And, you know, for me, I take away from that a lot of energy.
This is just something I wouldn't miss. It's unlike any other event, a way for me to recharge my batteries. Out of the 18 years that I've been, I missed 1 year.
Not everybody here is part of El Nu. Suzanne is Abenaki too, but she's not part of our tribe, but she's Abenaki. Blue, what are you here?
I'll never be Native, and for them to accept me was everything in the world to me.
I do this because of my interest in history, and this is a place where there's that kind of veil that sometimes gets lifted, and you see things, you experience things that make the hair on the back of your neck stand right up.
Inside a white pine in the cambium layer there, that's in between the brown and the hardwood, there's a thin layer in there that's high in starch and sugar. It's got kind of a piney taste to it, but you can eat it. And what you do is if you got a little grease, you cut thin slivers of it and you fry it up, and it tastes kind of like piney potato chips.
The wearing of the wampum earrings, you know, and the shaved heads and the traditional tattoos and all that kind of stuff, that all lends to the historical stuff. But at the same time, it's my modern day identity as an Abenaki person. In the past, we were constantly moving around. And, you know, a lot of the guys, the older guys, were getting older. And we'll set up basically a setup camp on one of the islands. We're trying up there just to hang out with each other. There you go.
So did we lay this out on the punky side?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So,
Ingenuity.
engineering department.
Even got his little canvas. Look at that.
Oh, man.
Fits the log.
Well, we measured the log for the canvas. Don't you remember?
Here you go.
This is our vacation away from the 21st century. Most people that go on vacation, they remain in the 21st century. We want to move our thought process, our feelings, our experiences back 300 years, 250 years.
Your tradition changes, and so do the way you dress and the way you act. 200 years ago we weren't driving around in cars, but we're just like everybody else. We modernize just like everybody else does too.
Longto, everything well out there?
Quiet, man, except for the boys.
They were making some noise, I saw that.
They hollered back.
Heard that.
Normally for the first couple of days on the lake, the younger guys will go on the mainland where there's generally more action. So you've got these two separate camps at different times, and a lot of times the young guys will come over, check us out, see what's going on. That's very important to our culture. If they don't learn this stuff, they don't hang out with the older guys and learn some of the traditional stuff and the things that they've learned over the years, it gets lost. That's how things get lost.
The first thing we do before we start singing is we offer tobacco to the drum, give honor to the drum, and that it may play well for us and help us sing well.
Carry our songs to the Creator.
It's so neat when you start singing some traditional songs and you hear that echoing up and down the lake. You get just a little glimpse of what it was like. And you know, it's so long as we keep the culture and the history and the traditions as much as we have alive, we'll be Abenaki.